the ATF just basically tried to put Texas in its place regarding their new suppressor freedom law. Sit by and watch this episode of Guns and Gadgets to learn more. Today's video is brought to us by the Warrior Poet Society Network. If you're familiar with John and the crew, then you already know the great individuals they are. Well, they have their own network off of the tubes that is like a Freedom Netflix on steroids. There's a lot of television quality shows on the network, as well as a lot of training from John Lovell and a host of other folks. You can check them out with the link down below, and I also have a code for you to save money as well. And I want to thank John and the crew for being a friend of the family. Check them out, a link is down below. Let's jump into this. The ATF sent a letter to Texas. It's a direct shot across the bow telling them we're the boss, back down, and we're going to mansplain it to you. So we'll go over this little letter that they sent to every FFL in the state of Texas. And yeah, let me know what you think. Here on the screen, you see it was dated July 26th. It took me a couple days to get to it because of everything I'm doing here. But it's an open letter to all Texas federal firearms licensees. These are your gun shops. The purpose of this letter is to provide guidance on your obligations as a federal firearms licensee in Texas. The following guidance is intended to assist you in accomplishing this goal. This letter does not impose any new obligations. It merely confirms the continuing applicability of existing federal obligations. The passage of Texas House Bill 957, with an effective date of September 1st, 2021, has generated questions from industry members as to how this state law may affect them while engaged in a firearms business activity. HB 957 claims to exempt silencers, also known as suppressors, that are manufactured in Texas and which remain in Texas from federal firearms laws and regulations, including the federal registration requirements. However, because HB 957 directly conflicts with federal firearms laws and regulations, federal law supersedes HB 957, and of course, they are referring to the Supremacy Clause. In summary, all provisions of the Gun Control Act and the National Firearms Act, including their corresponding regulations, continue to apply to FFLs and other persons in Texas. As you know, 18 U.S.C. Section 923 requires a license to engage in the business of manufacturing or dealing in firearms, even if firearms remain within the same state. All firearms manufactured by a licensee must be properly marked. Additionally, pursuant to 27 CFR Section 478.123, each licensee must record the type, model, caliber, or gauge, and serial number of each firearm manufactured or otherwise acquired, and the date such manufacture or acquisition or other acquisition was made. The required information must be recorded in the licensee's records no later than the 7th day following the date such manufacture or other acquisition was made. In addition to possessing a license under the Gun Control Act, 26 U.S.C. Section 5801 requires an FFL engaged in the business of manufacturing or dealing in NFA firearms, including silencers, to pay a special occupational tax. Furthermore, an approved ATF Form 4 and Firearms Transaction Record, ATF Form 4473, is required prior to the disposition of an NFA firearm, which under the NFA expressly includes a silencer, to an unlicensed person. The approved Form 4 indicates registration of the firearm/silencer to the transferee in the National Firearms Registration and Transfer Record. These federal requirements apply regardless of whether the NFA firearm/silencer has crossed state lines. If you have any questions regarding the federal firearms laws and regulations, please contact your local ATF office. ATF works closely with the firearms industry and appreciates the important role the industry plays in combating violent crime. A listing of the ATF office phone numbers can be found at blah 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 blah. Signed, Alfonso Hughes, the Assistant Director of the Enforcement Programs and Services. So, ATF is trying to put Texas in its place before the new law goes into effect on September 1st. What do you guys and gals think about it? I'd love to hear your point of view. The Supremacy Clause versus state rights. This is where we are right now. I really would like to see the State Attorney General and the Governor rise up and sue the Department of Justice and the ATF so that this goes to the court. that would be a good thing. This is how we can take chunks out of the NFA. A lot of people always ask me, Jared, how do we get rid of the NFA? Well, this is exactly how we can do parts of it. We're never going to have the whole thing removed, I don't think, unless something drastic happens. But something like this could take suppressors out of the NFA. Then you have the comment section for the ATF's frame and receiver. That's home builds, which has been legal forever. And the stabilizer, or the stabilizing brace ban. Those are things that we also can take chunks out of the NFA. I'll have links down below. Please make a comment again and again and again. Get your friends to do it, your mom, your dad, your uncle, your nephew, your neighbor, even if you don't like them. But, how can they say that something this big is more dangerous than something that's that big because it has a different type of end on it? It's not. There's millions and millions of those firearms out there, so they're obviously not a problem. They don't need to be further regulated. So that's how you get chunks away from the NFA. I keep doing this like I'm doing Baby Shark or something. But what do you think about the ATF basically telling Texas, get in line with a boss? I'd like to see where this one turns up. I'd love to see the state of Texas sue the DOJ. And I guess we'll see what happens in a quick amount of time. So if you want to stay in the loop, subscribe to Guns and Gadgets. This is where you're going to get all of the news, good, bad, ugly, or different. I just got back home from Boston. I went out to the Freedom Trail. For those who follow me on Instagram, you saw the little teaser I put up. I'm considering doing a video about it. For those who have never been to or can't get to, I would strongly recommend, if you can get to Boston, to check it out, because the world as we know it in America started there. It was a powder keg, and it is again. But let me know if you'd like to see a video on the Freedom Trail. Guys and gals, thank you for your time. I appreciate you all so much more than you know. Hope the rest of your Friday evening is a great one. Be safe, stay vigilant, carry your weapon. Check out the Warrior Poets Society Network down below, and have a great evening. Take care, everybody.